I slept. I don't mind telling you. I would lie down. I slept every afternoon. And then around 3 or 4 o'clock, we would climb on buses, not air conditioned, by the way, and all crowd into these buses and drive 30 minutes to Campus 1. And remember, Campus 1 is where the big temple is, and there were also some classrooms there. So we'd have a little class there, and I'm going to shorten this way up. And then we'd go to the temple. And the temple, they told us, like these photos, that temple, it's all marble, that it was alive, that it was palpable, that you could talk to it, that it would answer your prayer, your prayers, that you could receive energy from it, that you become awakened while you're in the temple. I mean, it was all this information that was coming to us that was totally foreign to me. I don't know. Campus 3 was built by the Chinese. There's Chinese names on most of the buildings on Campus 3. I don't know how much Chinese money went into the temple. I really don't care. We didn't get much information from anyone, because remember the dasas, the monks, were busy. They came in, they taught a class, they left. There was no chit-chat carrying on with dasas, with the monks. They had no time for us. They just taught really good classes, but then they would leave. And no one else spoke English. They spoke Tamil or some other language. Where do we get most of our information usually? Because we might get it from the garbage person. We might get some information from the guy that watches the gate. He'd know some stuff. We got nothing because none of them spoke English. So the truck driver, the bus driver, usually you chat with a bus driver. There was none of that either. So anyway, we get over to the temple, walking, hot, and they had these little carts once in a while that they'd take us over there. And then we'd go into, not the ground floor, but the second floor. And Indians are great for ritual and what they call pujas. They make massive, the altar in there was way bigger than this, twice or 3 times the size of this. And humongous photos of the 2 of them, and then other things on the ground. And the monks would do these immense, elaborate, what they call pujas, which are rituals, with candles, with incense, with tons of flower petals. It's beautiful, they're beautiful. But remember, we're sitting there, it's 110, and the fan's going, we are hot. You sweat out of every single pore you have. And some you didn't know you had. And so it's just really, really warm. They did have fans. So anyway, puja time, that'd be sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes half an hour, sometimes an hour. Puja, we'd sit there through that. And then we'd dance. They're big on music, 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 music. I love their music. It was from all over the world. In fact, I gifted them with Stephen DeRuby's latest CD. And I'm sure they're playing it now, Stephen, today. Yeah. And in addition to that, I took his CD with me and Bhagwan blessed it. So that was, along with all of your pictures and all people from PLC and anybody I could think of, wrote names down. I had photos of people who sent, and that was all on the altar. And the altar's among my pictures there that you can see.
It's working. It's working, Maggie.
Good. Good. Yeah, it wasn't too long after I got back and he said, check out this website. I'm number 2. Woo! I go, yes! Okay. So, after we dance until we drop. And what are they trying to do here? Trying to get you out of your mind, trying to raise your kundalini. They want your kundalini right, and some people's kundalini was risen, I'll tell you that. They were jumping around, they were jumping and jumping and jumping, and some of them were hopping like Joanne does in that meditation she does. Some of them were laughing, some of them were crying. I mean, it was crazy. There was a lot of emoting going on. If you ever had a notion that the Chinese were not emotional, you can erase that right now. They are very emotional. These young people were amazing. So after we do that, then we go upstairs to where the work started. And as you walk in this humongous, let me give you an idea of the size of this. One Sunday, this top floor, they're all the same size, but one Sunday they had a special, they call it darshan, a special audience with Sri Bhagwan. There were 5,000 Indians in there. Men on this side, women on this side, or vice versa, filing in. Actually, you could almost hear a pin drop. They're the quietest people in the world. They file in, sit on the floor, kids too, and I saw daddies trying to get their kids up closer, you know, so they could see and feel the energy of Bhagwan on the front. That was an amazing experience. So that gives you an idea of how large that floor is. The Westerners, myself, Joyce, and a few of the rest of us sat in chairs over here and kind of to the back. The Chinese were all up in front too, because they all sit on the floor. They were all young people, so all of them, I think, sat on the floor. So we had joined together, but when we go over to Campus 1, we joined together with Campus 2, so anybody that's in the dormitories would come too. So we had maybe a couple hundred of us, or 300 of us by that time. And up on the top floor, the whole thing is laid out in various mandalas. Can't take any pictures, so I'll just have to do a word picture for you. And so there are a lot of these mandalas placed all about. I don't know how many are there, but they invited us to pick a group and sit in a mandala in a chair on the floor around this mandala and go to the same one every day, because you build the energy in that particular place, and that's what they want you to do. So we would go there, and when I walked in the first day, this group of Chinese had claimed this first mandala there, and they came sit with us, you know, and so they like old women, I don't know. It was way fun, but I was in that circle with 7 non-English speaking people, you know, so that was interesting too. Then finally Joyce and Davy squeezed into that circle, so then we were 9, and that was fun. So this is like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. We've left in the bus at 3, and this is like 6, maybe 7 by then. Danced on the 2nd floor, now we're on the 3rd floor. And now they give us an assignment. I'll call it an assignment. They call it sadhana, which is a practice. And the practice is designed to follow through with whatever liberation you're working on. And I'm going to pick control, because that's the one. Every single one of these, all 28 of them, we had to do a different practice. One, I'll just say, was prostrating 108 times on the floor. And you didn't just get down there and lollygag around. They were like this. You had to get down and get up 108 times. And again, what does that do? It gets you out of your mind. And you're never forced to do anything. You know, if you can't do it, you don't do it. That was it. And I was amazed that some young people just couldn't get on the floor at all. But the Chinese all did, and I did it 108 times. I didn't go all the way to the floor. I only went a few times to the floor because I knew better. You know, it would have done me in, and no left. So that was one thing that we did. But my favorite one was controller. Outside this interior temple is a walkway all the way around the temple. I don't know how big that is. It must be a block or 2 around there. I don't know. It's a long ways. And the The walkway was about this wide, a railing, but lots of stairways going down all around the temple. And so we were invited to blindfold, arms overhead, and they had roped off. They told us they roped off the stairway. We didn't see it, so you know, what your mind doing about that? And so you're overhead, and you're going to walk around the temple blindfolded, chanting. I invite you to try that. That was one of the most challenging things, that one. Because you're walking, and here we are walking along, somebody put their elbow in my mouth, you know, because we're chanting and we're totally vulnerable. We are so vulnerable not to be believed. You're chanting, you've got your arms overhead, you're blindfolded, you don't know what the world is going on. And so you think you're walking in a straight line. And all of a sudden, wham, you're up against a wall. And so you turn a little bit, and you try it again, and you're still up against the wall. And you try it again, and you're still up against the wall. It was the most discombobulating thing that I have ever experienced. Totally discombobulating. So I got around it, though, and I didn't peek. Well, maybe once. But I didn't peek, you know. I didn't take that thing off. I said, I'm going to do this. There's a reason we're doing this. And this is, I kind of like that stuff, you know. It was fun. So, but when I got all the way around, this kind voice, men don't touch women over there. Those monks, they don't go, the male don't go anywhere near those women monks, you know. So some gentle woman monk said, you can take your ribbon off. And I did, and I had the most huge explosion of emotion that I have ever had in my life. I tell you, I sobbed and cried and sobbed and cried and sobbed and cried and could not stop. Why was that good? What we're doing here with all of this moving the mind out of the way is we're making space for the unconscious to bring forth our deepest pain. Our deepest, they call them charges. Here we call them triggers, but it's way deeper than triggers. It's charges. They're buried in your body from the time that you're conceived and perhaps prior lifetimes. They're buried in your body, and what they want you to do is expunge that. Because as you stay with the feelings, you don't label them, you don't try to figure them out, you don't wonder what they are, you don't do any of that, you just stay with the pain. You stay with the feeling. Sometimes it would be joy, but most of the time, you know, our stuff is painful. And so there was something in there about the controller that sent me sobbing. It was just incredible. And I've noticed since I'm back. And so once you dispel that and get rid of the feeling, there's joy on the other side. We do something like that here called the ID process, but I tell you, that was deeper, 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 deeper. And so I've noticed since I've come back that, you know, I've always been really controlling this and that, trying to get